The signs of Biden's government weaponization just keep stacking up. Take a look.
Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley releasing a memo which shows the Department of Justice under then Attorney General Merrick Garland unleashed unchecked government power on associates of President Trump.
Despite all the declassifications we've seen lately, Senator Grassley just dropped even more receipts on former Biden officials. What's more troubling is, this info could have easily stayed buried for years.
But understand that none of this stuff would be known this very day if we hadn't had whistleblowers tell us about it and give us the documents.
And today we're covering it all, because we're not here to follow parties blindly. We're here for common sense. So, if you're an independent thinker, hit the subscribe button and let's jump right into it.
Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley releasing a memo which shows the Department of Justice under then Attorney General Merrick Garland unleashed unchecked government power on associates of President Trump. Grassley posted this on X. Just received this doc from DOJ, proof that Biden Attorney General Merrick Garland plus Deputy Attorney General Lisa Monaco plus FBI Director Chris Wray all personally approved opening Arctic frost. This investigation unleashed unchecked government power at the highest levels. My oversight's going to continue. This document you're seeing here, Maria, it's from April of 2022. It authorized the FBI's D.C. field office to open a probe into whether or not individuals connected to Trump's 2020 campaign conspired to obstruct the certification of the election, January 6, 2020. But this all led to what we know now, and that's that special counsel Jack Smith surveilled the phones of 8 Republican senators and 1 House member. Now, Smith yesterday asked House and Senate Judiciary Committees that his testimony be public.
Now, for context, Grassley's newly released internal DOJ and FBI memo shows that AG Garland, Deputy AG Monaco, and Director Wray personally approved the opening of, quote, Operation Arctic Frost. That's standard procedure since it was labeled as, quote, sensitive investigative matter. But here's where things get tricky. The authorization memo stated the probe was to determine whether individuals conspired to obstruct justice by impeding Congress's certification of the Electoral College vote on January 6, 2020. However, as we've come to know now, declassified files show the investigation expanded far beyond that scope, targeting not only Trump and Pence's government devices, but also sitting Republican lawmakers, in addition to conservative organizations like Turning Point USA, which raises a lot of questions. And Maria asked some of them to the other panelists. So let's hear the take on it.
Well, I'm not surprised that was the crew that was running things and directing Arctic Frost, Chris, directing our most important law enforcement agencies to turn the tables and track their Republican political opponents.
Yeah, obviously this is bad. This is just the unchecked power is exactly what Chuck Grassley needs to be focused on here. And I'm worried that we need a lot of power at DOJ for the administration to go after some of these folks. So I'm really worried that we're going to miss out on opportunities to crack down on the bad guys.
I mean, look, John, I don't know how much Joe Biden knew. We all know he had mental capacity issues. Was it the Democrats driving this? Was it, Lisa Monaco and Merrick Garland really just wanting to turn the tables on the Republicans? Or was it coming from Joe Biden? We don't know.
We don't really know. But, the fact of the matter is that justice should not have been doing this in the first place. This should not have been taking place. It was a waste of taxpayer money.
It did cost taxpayers a ton of money. Newsweek estimates that number to be over $50 million, which includes his direct expenses and additional DOJ costs from staff and resources dedicated to helping his probe. Now, keep in mind, Jack was also in charge of the Mar-a-Lago case, which ended up going nowhere after a judge tossed it out, arguing Smith's appointment violated the Appointments Clause of the Constitution. But Maria raised an interesting question here. Did anyone at the DOJ, former President Biden, or even people within his inner circle, have any idea of Arctic Frost expanding into an outright surveillance program of Republican lawmakers and conservative organizations? Finding this out should be the next logical step, because if they did know, it's a case of clear overreach. Chuck Grassley also shared his thoughts on this entire fiasco during an appearance on Fox News, and he made some more shocking revelations.
But understand that none of this stuff would be known this very day if we hadn't had whistleblowers in the FBI and Department of Justice tell us about it and give us the documents. And I can thank Director Patel for making sure that we got those documents. And I think it's ought to remind us all. And it's something that shouldn't happen in our political system. And it's an example of the FBI weaponization or political weaponization. And it all started with a special agent, Timothy Thibault, that violated every FBI protocol to set up for the Jack Smith electoral charges against President Trump. And until now, we thought that that's all it was about, was going after President Trump. But it's going after 92 conservative groups, Republican groups, and Republican individuals. We wouldn't have known that without the FBI whistleblower.
So, could you imagine what would have happened if those whistleblowers hadn't come forward? If we had not known about any of this? Especially since Grassley has been requesting such documents since July 2022, according to his website. And yet, only now are we getting some pieces of the puzzle. Another point is this. Chuck has mentioned during a Senate hearing that the FBI under the previous leadership was using restricted access and prohibited access within its internal system, where even if someone were to deliberately search for said documents, if they didn't have high-level access, it'll return a false negative. And Cash clarified they restructured how the system works so more people could know if something questionable is going on. But a key point is this. Arctic frost was in full swing while the country was dealing with serious issues, which is what Maria expanded on, making some very valid arguments.
Look, at all the while this is going on, we had millions of illegal border crossings in the United States, and that's breaking the law on a very grand scale. And how about the crime that we had in various cities that they didn't care about? How about all the people dying of fentanyl coming from China and whatnot? Where were they?
That's the point that I always make, Cheryl. It's not just about what they did to their political opponents, but it's what they did not do for the American people. It's a dereliction of duty to allow all those illegals to come in and also blow off what was going on China. Because China right now is eating our lunch when it comes to all of these things that we need so much, rare earth minerals, pharmaceuticals, chips, etc. How come that they were yelling Russia, Russia, Russia and tracking Republican senators when they weren't ensuring that we had everything we needed here so that we weren't reliant on communist China?
Exactly. When you step back and look at both the Jack Smith probe and Russiagate, there's a clear trend. These weren't real efforts to find the truth. They were political moves aimed at taking down opponents. That should concern everyone. If there's something serious to investigate, then sure, launch an independent inquiry. But letting these drag out for months or years only creates more division and fuels distrust. Add to that a 24-hour news cycle dominated by partisan outlets that rush to fill the narrative vacuum with their own spin, and it becomes nearly impossible to get straight answers for the public. Investigations should be short, clear, and based on facts, so Americans know exactly what's been going on and who's being held accountable. Let me know in the comments your thoughts on this story. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and remember, keep thinking.